My name is Neil Tomba, and I'm a pastor from Dallas, Texas. For the last 18 years, I've dreamed of riding a bicycle across the United States. Today, our country feels more divided than ever, and I was determined to spend 33 days biking across America to learn how to talk to others about important things in a way that made them feel respected, heard, and valued. This is The Listening Road. So today is going to be difficult. We're going to attempt to ride 105 miles with an elevation climb of more than 5,000 feet before we reach our final destination in Gallup, New Mexico. I was really surprised to see the whole team up early and ready for the day for a change. We were all set to leave the campground, but just then I spotted an interesting-looking couple seated at a picnic table. Jeff and Christine had been married for 36 years and explained that their new truck was having problems and were waiting for a tow.
We've made this trip for 20 years, every year, and we've never had but 2 problems.
So the problem we have, I just tell Jeff, we're making memories. That's all you can say.
We're making memories. There you go. So when I said to Jeff and Christine that we're here just talking to people about things that matter, immediately, I think it was one of y'all said, "Oh, well, we come from 2 different really places."
Yeah.
I was from the bright side, and she was from the dark side. I was Catholic in Catholic school, went to church every day in school and then Sundays, and she was she just a non-believer.
He picked the name, and that's fine. But we've made it work. I mean, we've raised our kids. I've raised them to pick whatever they want. So
In fact,
one
they
is,
are 2 of them are Christian.
Yeah.
So they grew up with religion going, even though we didn't necessarily. So, you know, I've always put God in there in my own way, because I believe the God that I know now, not the God that I maybe grew up learning about. Because I don't know that I believe all the Catholic things, because they didn't believe we should get married unless she was baptized. Well, her church would, Lutheran.
Wow.
They welcomed me.
I went to a lot of different churches because I had catechism. There was a lot of growing up I did with church because we were a small town.
So you did go to church, grew up going to church, and then Christine, when did you kind of say, you know, this isn't for me? And maybe what was something precipitated that, or?
I don't necessarily think it was an epiphany or anything. I think it was probably a lot of different churches, I guess, and I couldn't rationalize in that, I guess.
Couldn't find one maybe to fit.
Maybe. I don't know, but I guess I just went a different way. I think it's about the morals that you have or what you give to your children or your family. Or
I see that as the religion that instilled that in her catechism.
So
some foundation.
See, well, I believe it is all about foundation. These kids growing up this days and age don't have good foundations to grow up on. And if you got good bones, you're going to get a good person. If you got... So she's a good person.
It's in you or not.
Okay, get to you. I want to see this disagreement
that
here.
we never get into. So, because I always tell the kids, don't talk about religion, sex, or drugs.
And I always say, never condemn the Lord, because if there is a God, you're going to have a lot of answering to do. And that's how I feel about it.
I think everybody needs kindness, and I don't think it has anything to do with God.
So have y'all worked out the differences? Is it you just don't talk about it, or do you talk about it sometimes?
We talk about it.
How have you worked it out?
It comes up usually with the kids. Because my
or things that, or life cases where you question those things.
So Christine, so it sounds like you grew up and you heard, things like Jesus saying, "I'm the way and the truth and the life, believe in me." What do you do with that?
I believe, because there is a book, that it's history. It's a man was here on this earth he was a good man. I don't believe that there is this pie in the sky of this man or deity looking down at us or up or whatever. I don't believe that. But I believe a good man was here that taught a moral. He brought his morals of good, knew what was bad. I believe that. He died on the cross. That we have that as history. We know that.
That's right.
And so that can't be undone. That is here.
You know, I'll tell you guys, it is encouraging to see y'all's relationship. It really is. I want to just encourage that. And so, Christina, I want you to imagine Jeff asking you this question. So, Christine, what would Jesus have to do to make you believe that he was God and that he was the only way? But I want you to answer like him asking, because y'all's relationship is so powerful.
I would tell them that.
Tell him. I'd tell him.
Jesus is gone. The Bible is here, but there ain't nothing left. That's it. And I talked
It all goes dark in the end. And I always say, honey,
We've talked about this.
I spend twice as much time being good so that she gets in. So I always say,
That's what he
I will
said.
never say nothing bad.
You guys are awesome.
Or anything. What would it take to believe? I mean, seriously, what would it take for you to go, wow, you're right, Jeff. There
For the
is
man to
somebody.
come down and talk to me.
What if he went right over there and made that check engine light go away right
Don't
now?
think so. Now, do I talk to him sometimes? Maybe. Yeah, probably. Or talk to somebody.
Maybe he's there.
So there's-
Oh, he's working on you. This guy's.
Well, with the 3 kids raising him, I talked to somebody a lot.
Before I forget, I was really happy that my conversation with Jeff and Christine had prompted a deeper conversation between the two of them. I was fairly certain they'd do more talking between themselves later on. As our team members were set to go, my wife Vila and I struck up a conversation with a young couple in the breakfast area. So why don't you guys just tell us what's something important to y'all?
I'm going to say having a good time and enjoying life.
Lizzie, so what does that look like on a typical day for you to have a good time and enjoy life?
I mean, that can even be working because I love what I do.
What do you do?
I do hair and I teach art.
Yeah, so what do you like about doing hair for people?
That it is artistic. That I get to be creative when I do it.
So Lizzie, when people sit in your chair,
Yeah.
they start pouring out their life to you?
Not anymore. Yeah, not anymore. I feel like what I've learned about myself is that I can ask them more challenging questions and challenge them. Whereas before I was like afraid to cry, and now I'm like, well, what does that look like? Keep going.
Wow. So you see your role as making them beautiful outside and actually also encouraging their heart.
Yeah. That sounds good. I should use that as a tagline.
Yeah. What's something important to you?
Riding bikes is pretty important, and that's pretty fun. And that's like how I met a lot of people when I got to California and stuff, which is great. I guess like honestly in this like climate and like how the US is right now, and like people are really divided, and it's just nice to like talk to people and hear what they have to say and to see how other people live and like how it is.
Did you have any faith background in Wisconsin and Portugal? What was yours, Lizzie?
I have to say that I am not religious at all, and I feel like my siblings are very religious.
Oh, are they?
And I feel like that is probably a product of me leaving and them growing up there and staying there and doing the traditional things.
Yeah, I grew up in Portugal. My mum is a Protestant and my dad's Jewish,
Oh, wow.
and I am an atheist.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm a scientist. I do research.
What kind of research?
Right now I'm doing cardiovascular
Oh, wow.
research, but I have a PhD in neuroscience. And, I find it sometimes surprising. There's people that I work with, like I work with people who are Muslims, I work with people who are Christians, I work with people who are Jewish, practicing, all of them. And, they all follow their faith and they all do the same job that I do. And obviously we're all very objective and very science and hypothesis driven and so on. And these are people that I talk to about religion and I have had conversations with. And
cool.
it's interesting, but I still, And these are people that I respect, obviously, and people that I work with.
And they're healthy conversations, and you don't have to have a fight. Good for you. How about you, Lizzie?
Yeah, I definitely do. I was, right when you said it, I was thinking that Friday night I was bartending at my girlfriend's music and sound studio, and she is actually Catholic. And when I first met her, we just jived and got along so well. And it wasn't until I had known her for quite a bit that I realized that she was very devout Catholic and went to church, and I've gone with her and her family, and just to support her and her beliefs. And so we were actually talking about this last night, and one of my clients as well, he's a pastor for Trinity United Methodist Church. And so they were all talking about religion in I feel like a healthy way, and I participated as well. And so it just automatically made me think of that.
Nice. Thank y'all for visiting with us.
Yeah.
Have fun. Hey, can I get a hug? Yeah. At last, we were riding. We climbed an elevation for quite a while, then the road leveled out on the top of a ridge. Caroline and Wes mentioned they were feeling good, and we all hit a strong pace. I turned to Wes as we descended the next grade with the wind at our backs, and I said, "You know, we really are living the dream." Because I loved what we were doing on this trip. Our conversations could be leading people to bigger conversations, maybe even transformative ones. We were throwing ourselves into the effort of actively listening, spreading kindness, and sparking a new kind of dialogue in our country that I'd been dreaming of for years. A guy just drove by and kind of cussed us out and called Caroline a bitch. And Caroline just told me that guy's comment really hurt.
It's really hard because, like, being a woman writer, you know, you're constantly discounted and called out and thought less than. Sometimes it's hard to shake off. And he said to you guys, get off the road. He doesn't single y'all out. It just hurts. You just tell me it's not true.
It's not true. And you're doing awesome. I'm so thankful you're here. For the next hour, we all rode in silence, and I was reminded again that each of us has a story. Eventually, we rode into a little town right at lunchtime. Only one restaurant appeared to be open as we approached it, and I saw a man walking down the street who looked to be homeless. Hey man, how's it going?
Good to meet you.
It's good to meet you.
Where are you biking to?
He introduced himself as Mike and was very open to talk about his story. You know, Mike, here's what strikes me right now that impresses me about you. You were abandoned by your parents when, how old again?
6.
6 years old, you were abandoned by your parents.
Yes.
You and your wife have troubles.
Yes.
And you got 3 kids.
Yeah, and I
and
sleep on the streets right now. I have nowhere to go. Like, I walk with my backpack, a sleeping bag, and a pillow. That's what I do.
And you hang in there with, you stay here because of your kids.
Yes.
Where'd you learn that, Mike? That's amazing. You said, I'm going to be a dad who stays with my kids.
Because the way my parents did me, like, I can't leave them. Like, I can't, like, take off on my kids, you know what I mean? It's sad to think about it. I mean, it is. It makes me want to cry, you know? But it's like, I'm not going to let my kids go.
Wow.
You know, and I'll die right here on the sidewalk if I have to for my kids. But I won't leave them.
How long you been on the street, Mike?
For about past 2.5, 3 years.
I read the Bible, and one of the things when Jesus was alive, he constantly was eating with people because it was a really big deal to eat meals with people. It was a way to say, I'm inviting you in to just hang with you a little bit.
Just to be a friend.
Yeah. So Mike, I was wondering if you would let us buy you lunch and you would eat lunch with our group.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Come on, let's go eat lunch.
Let's do it.
I'm really interested in your tattoos. Are there any stories behind them? Any of them super meaningful for you?
A lot are, because I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm crazy in my head, but I know I'm not, just because of the stuff I've been through. You know, and I got the stars because they shine at night.
Okay.
You know, and
So what does 5150 mean?
it means loco, kind of like, it's not 50-50. Like,
Okay,
What
okay.
okay.
So Mike, you said this 5150 thing. Have you struggled with some mental illness at times?
Yeah, just from being on my own, being a kid, like, I've struggled with it. Like, you know, like, I'm a kid. Like, how can you not love me? Like, what did I do that's so wrong? That's what I struggle with, and that's what drives me crazy in my head. That's why it's 5150, but it's nothing like extreme. You know, it's not my fault my parents left me.
Man.
They left me on their own, like, and chose to take my little brother and sister because they didn't want to provide for me so they could take care of them. And so it's like, what did I do?
How do you like your primary cook?
Medium rare.
Okay.
You know?
You were just a 6-year-old kid.
Kid.
Man,
Kid.
there's your soda, dude.
Thank you, Jeff.
Gosh, I'm gonna ask you a hard question here. If you could see your parents today, would you want to ask them why?
I would want to know why. Yes, sir. What did I do that was so wrong? That's what I would want to know. So, like, I have all these unanswered questions, like what did I do? Like, was it my fault? Like, was I bad? Like, but I'll never get those answered because they're deceased.
You got a little cross here. What's that about?
That's because I always had faith. I never lost it. Like, even though I thought whenever I couldn't do it on my own as a kid, I never lost the faith. Like, it was there.
What did you
I
have?
always looked at the cross and I prayed and I asked for forgiveness, even though I didn't know if I did anything wrong, but I wanted to know if I did. Like, I want to apologize. Like, it's not me. Like,
Have you ever gone to a church?
I have.
What do you think about it?
I love church. Like, it makes me feel free. It makes me feel like I'm loved. Like, I can shine for a minute. You know what I mean?
You know, in church, you might have heard this, that God is like a father.
Yeah. He's good all the time.
He's good all the time. He's a good father is a song we sing sometimes. And you know, Mike, I believe you have a father in heaven who, unlike your earthly father, would love to sit down and have a meal with you and say, I think you're the most awesome son in the whole world.
Yes, sir. I would love that. Like, man.
And a father in heaven, you know
Just
what, Mike?
to feel that love, that attention. Like,
When like, imagine him coming home from work and you sitting in the house, and that Father in heaven, you know what makes his day? The thing he loves the most is when he comes home and you say, Daddy, I'm here. And he says, I'm so glad, son, I missed you all day.
yeah, I thought about you the whole day. Like, you're always on my mind. Like,
Yes.
yeah. I'm trying not to get teary-eyed. Like, I just seen you guys ride, and I was like, hey, look at these guys. Like, they're doing it. Like, you're doing your dream. Like, you're living. Love your family. Like, family is first. Like, it's everything. Like, if you don't have that, like, it's a dark place. Like, you know, don't take a day for granted. Like, cherish every moment.
My mind was still focused on Mike. I thought about how many people are asking themselves the same kinds of questions. Does anybody love me? Am I abandoned? Am I alone? The lesson for me today in talking with Mike was that everybody has a story. When we ask people to tell their stories, we help answer the questions they have. We let people know they're not alone, not abandoned. We help people know they are listened to, that they are loved. Their stories truly matter. Last night I was informed that we would begin the day all riding in the van to our starting point. I was aggravated. We wasted a lot of time. We had more than 100 miles until we would reach our final destination of Grants, New Mexico. As we started riding, the terrain became hilly, and immediately my legs lost energy. My stomach hurt, my head ached, the sun was beating down on us, and I had been exhausted since I got up. Then I remembered something I wrote down while training for this ride to help me remember that the road ahead wasn't going to be easy. I do not train to avoid suffering. I do not prepare to avoid challenge. I train and prepare to effectively engage in suffering and challenge. I was aware that the altitude, heat, and exhaustion had been affecting me all day. This was another reminder of the battle to be thankful, less irritable, and more content with the challenges of everyday life. We all stopped at a roadside attraction. Viola, with her great humor, took the group on a tour through some ice caves, and I chose to hop in the van, cracked open a window, and slept.
We have 2 trails. One goes to the volcano and one goes to the ice trails. Come along, come along. No smoking on the trails. The volcano took care of that. The trees growing in lava find it hard to establish deep roots. The results are that the trees grow to be twisted and gnarled. Oh! This is the ponderosa pine, and let me tell you about the ponderosa pine. True story, you can smell it. It smells like vanilla. Honestly, smell that thing, it smells like vanilla.
Don't kiss it.
Smell deep, smell deep.
You do.
Thank you.
You do.
Y'all, it is cold down here. The lava actually helped this ice happen. The lava was its insulation. And there it is, it's frozen and it's cold. Now we have seen the land of ice. Now we're going to the land of fire. Let's go see that Bandera volcano.
Well, they let my wife have the mic, and so a 40-minute break turned into, I don't know, maybe 2 hours. After leaving the land of fire and ice, we slowly rode through some beautiful country.
A couple days ago, we ran into a bike packer who was going across the country the other way. His name was Brandon. And after we had talked to him for a little while, I talked to him alone, and he was saying, pace yourself, you're about to hit some pretty steep hills. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, more hills. But he looked at me and he goes, you know, hills are a wonderful opportunity to take in the beauty around you twice as long. It's like, that's really cool, and that's something that I've been holding on to ever since.
Late in the day, we pulled into Grants, New Mexico, and I was spent both physically and mentally, so I was ready to get a good night's sleep. Tensions were mounting. I'm finding myself aggravated, and I know that's not helping. Team members are consistently getting up late. Before the trip began, we all agreed on start times. Everybody needed to get up by 5:30 a.m. and be ready to go so the bikers could be on the road by 7. That wasn't happening. It's now the 9th day of the trip, and our first stop was McDonald's for breakfast. Normally, I'm not a McDonald's guy, but we needed to eat fast and get on the road. We left Grants, New Mexico on one of the service roads that followed Route 66. The daily goal was to put in at least 50 miles before lunch. But we must have taken a wrong turn somewhere because the first stretch of road was like riding on a washboard. We jostled around, hitting bump after bump. Fortunately, at mile 6, the road smoothed out again and we were able to speed up. Awesome rock formations were all around us. I love rocks. The sky was a sheet of blue, and the smell of sagebrush filled the air. I love being outside. This trip was such a gift. And for a long time, everything was quiet except for our bike chains whirling through our derailleurs and an occasional car passing by. By mid-morning, we'd ridden 25 miles and it was hot. I spotted a man working on his car in the driveway. There was a large tree in his yard near the road with shade that looked cool and inviting, so I pulled over and asked if we could stop for a minute and fill our water bottles. He told me the land we were standing on once belonged to his grandparents who used to operate a bed and breakfast for travelers. So what year was the hotel really going? And the trains, there used to be a train station here. What year?
Way before I was born, like 1970, something like that way.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was so small.
And what is your heritage?
Like,
Native American?
yeah, Native American. And this is a Laguna Pueblo, one of the 17 pueblos throughout the state of New Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your tribe is?
Laguna.
Laguna.
Yeah. And we do speak our language, the Pueblo of Laguna, and it's actually Caricen.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a Caricen language.
Mm-hmm. And do you have family, Jeff? Any children or anything?
I actually have 4 kids. My kids are all up, live in Phoenix now.
What of your heritage and what of your faith, if any, of Laguna are you trying to pass on to them?
Well, I want to teach them the language because right now a lot of the language is dying out, and you know, you talk to some of the kids and stuff like that, and they're like, oh, what is that? They ask me about their clan on my side of the family, so I tell them, oh, you guys are Little Bears. And that's our clan. So
Little Bears?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So would you be comfortable to give me a greeting in Laguna so I can hear your language?
In Laguna, how we say hello is Gawatsi.
Gawatsi.
When you say thank you, you say Tawae.
Tawae.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
Tawae for letting us use your shade tree. So Jeff, tell me about the faith of Laguna. Do you practice your ancestors' faith?
Yeah, we pray to, you know, just like everybody has Jesus, Lord, and all that. You know. When we sit down to eat, we have spirit bowls, what they call.
Okay.
And usually what we do is before we eat, we'll, you know, take little portions of our food and put it in there, you know, to feed them. And that's for our, you know, our spirit people and stuff like that. So every different tribe has their own, you know, gods that they pray to, you know, like they have their sun gods, and of course everybody prays to the Mother Earth and stuff like that, you know.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
So you mentioned Jesus. Like, what do you think of him? Is he kind of like in your mind a God for the white man, or? And I don't take that personally at all. I'm curious.
No. It's well, see, I go to church too. I go to the Baptist church up here.
Do you?
Yeah, and you know, I pray every day. I used to drink a lot, real bad, and I quit it's been, 3 years since I quit drinking. So, yeah, that's why I prayed to him. I said, you know, just...
You prayed to
Jesus.
Jesus.
Yeah. just to give me that strength every day. And
Wow. Does your Baptist church, do they have a problem with, like, if people believe in Jesus and spirits? Is that ever a problem?
no, because of like the majority of the people that do attend the church are mostly Native Americans that go up there, like the Lagunas and Navajos and everybody up there. So, I mean, he's not like trying to preach one thing because you know, he respects our tradition and stuff like that too.
So what if you were at work and Jesus kind of showed up and he said, I want you to only worship me? What would you do?
You know, you would think, well, how could I actually ask this person prove that you are, you know, the Messiah and saying who you are and stuff like that. So,
Wow.
yeah, so it would kind of be kind of hard.
If you could just pray to Jesus or whoever, and just, here's one thing about the world I would like you to make better. What is something you'd like to see just change in the world for better?
When I grew up, my dad was always helping people. I mean, and like you see these people on the side of the road with their signs and stuff like that. And you know, I said I'll give them a few dollars and stuff like that, and I don't expect nothing in return. I mean, just a little bit of kindness can always help somebody, and you know, they're down and out and stuff like that, and you know, just be kind to each other, help each other. I mean, we're all human. We're on the planet for the same reason. You know, God had put us here.
Thank you for your kindness to us today. Can I give you a hug, man?
Sure, no problem.
Thank you, buddy. Jeffrey had disappeared into his house. And when he returned, he had a homemade piece of Laguna pottery he wanted to give us as a gift. It was beautiful.
And this is all freehand.
Yep.
There's no stencils. There's no stencils or anything, and this comes. The design comes from the top of their heads and stuff like that. So.
Thank you. It's beautiful. 45 minutes ago, we were complete strangers. And now I found myself choked up by his gesture of kindness. I asked why he gave me the gift. He said, well, you let me tell my story. Oh, man, how awesome. We rode for another 20 miles. The wind picked up, and for the first time in our trip, we were about to be rained on.
So it's the first time that we will be riding in the rain, probably. It looks like it's coming. It's kind of windy and blustery. So we changed out Caroline's front wheel to a lower profile wheel so she won't get blown around as much.
We can live through rain. Hopefully we won't get hail, okay?
All right.
Car's back. Just outside of Albuquerque, we left the main drag and rode through the side streets of a suburban neighborhood. I spotted a man and his young son out near a motorhome parked in front of his house. The man was dressed like any other average American, but his black head covering announced that there was something different about him, at least different than me. His name was Kiki.
I was born in this country. My parents immigrated.
They immigrated from
northern India, Punjab.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the Sikhs are from.
Yeah. And tell me how you got this Wander Lodge, man.
You know, it's as you guys probably understand, seeing the country on the ground, on the road, stopping to see people is the real way to experience America. And it's a beautiful country when you get out of the plane and you know, but you know, it's the journey, not always the destination, right?
Yes. So Kiki, tell us just some basic tenets of your Sikh faith.
Yeah, basic. It's to embrace all faiths. I think you know, really just be a good person and try to do service to your community and you know, help one another and live a good life, an honest life, a hard-working life.
Are you practicing it? Like,
I'm trying, you know, every day you try. You know, you try not to get down by the stuff you see and what are we going to do? You know, I think we got to fight the good fight. You know, like you guys are out here doing something. Grassroots, people doing stuff. people helping people.
From a Sikh perspective, what is your perspective on Jesus?
Yeah, I think Jesus' message was love and love one another, and the whole Jesus dying, being crucified, and God sending his son, the message of the Bible. I think that was a message of love overall, and that's I think in the Sikh faith, love and God are associated, hand in hand, and I think that's a good message in all faiths that we should take.
Yeah.
So, my dad used to say we all bleed red, and we're all brothers, and we now we got all this DNA, we can see it.
We're all created in the image of God.
Right.
Can I say a blessing over you? And if you want to say one over me, you can.
Sure.
Can I say a blessing over you? May the Lord bless you and keep you. May his face shine upon you. And may God bless you that you might be a blessing to many. And many would come to know the salvation of our God.
Well, thank you. We say in our faith, Chardi Kala, which is the spirit embrace this. You feel the spirit inside of you, and the joy of God, and you should feel that all the time and try to live that way.
So that guy we were talking to, y'all, he at the end of the conversation, we were shutting it down. He says, so you're a pastor, so you probably have insight into this. How did the Christian message get all messed up? And so we got to go back and talk about what the Christian message is.
So Jesus' message was a solid one, and I think most people, I hope, would accept that. But then, where did it? Now I think the rulers that made their Bibles, this Bible, where do you think the message kind of lost it? Or was somewhat corrupted by people trying to use it, manipulate it for their own purposes, or?
So if you go back, it just even at the time of the Gospels, which it's amazing how much actual documentary evidence we have, because we have so many manuscripts. And it really is amazing how Jesus' message was really clear. I'm the way and the truth and life. No one comes to the Father but through me. He loved tax gatherers, prostitutes, the poor. He seemed to have a problem at times with the religious, who had power.
Right.
And it seems to me, Kiki, when you watch how Christianity moves through the globe, it seems like when we get too much power, things kind of get twisted. I think there's something about power because let's just say Jesus was who he claimed to be. He was claimed to be the Son of God who was resurrected in power, and yet, by his own choice, he hangs on a cross. Yet he says, I'm gentle and humble in heart. And there's a blind man on the road, and everybody says, let's go, let's go, let's go. And he says, no, I want to stop. And so I think sometimes this whole power thing, in its different forms, affects just that message. And then, Jesus' followers all need forgiveness. So there's part that, hey, we're all people who said, yes, I need forgiveness at the cross.
No, when you bring it down to that level, and that, Jesus was, he's a common man, and that's the beauty of the message, is that we have to embrace all people.
We're gonna get rained on. Here, let's go under this tree, y'all, and we'll get our rain jacket.
Don't you know you're not supposed to stand under a tree in a rainstorm? Rainfall.
Do I got a cap on my head? The rain kept falling, but in that moment, I wasn't worried about anything. All that mattered was the road and the climb and all of us reaching our destination together. I found myself embracing the rain, which I normally do not do. I was enjoying that moment. As we kept climbing, I started thinking about all the conversations we had the last couple days. What I have been learning over and over again is that everyone has a story. And when we listen with authenticity it can become part of how God uses us and speaks through us. The longer we traveled, the more I understood my purpose on this trip. My job is to be kind, curious, and respectful to people, their beliefs, and who they are. To listen to them, to hear them, to see them.